So there was a conflict at the men's group, and from it, I got some amazing growth, like amazing realization. I had to reflect on some stuff that people were saying. First of all, I mean, I've been going there for over a year and a half, and I attribute almost all my growth as a person to having attended that men's group regularly for over a year and a half. I've modeled myself after the men I looked up to in that group, and I've done a damn good job of it, okay? And I think my presence there is something positive, but there's always stuff to work on, right? So it's been a trend that since like over a year and a half, I say things that what I feel to be true, and I have no qualms about if it comes off hurtful in the moment or something. Like if it hurts feelings, I don't give a fuck. Okay, I feel like some things need to be said, tough things, and just the most recent episode of that was today, where I mean, amongst other things, the question was asked to me like, hey, do you think this guy has grown? Okay, and I guess I should give the context, but I won't, of how that question emerged. And now, in the moment, I was like, okay, you know what? No, because this guy has just made the same emotional outburst that he made a year and a half ago when I last challenged him, right? Okay, and I felt like I had to say that in the moment because that person needed to hear it, no matter how much it would hurt him. In the moment, okay? But actually it's not even that episode. Like there's just the way I was going about and disagreeing with what was being said in that group, like arguing. And then what was kind of what one guy was saying, like in the moment I just did not agree with it when he said that all opinions are valid in some sense, and that we come to the group just to be able to speak. And the argument should not happen, kind of to that effect. Or is what he's saying. Like the argument there should not be argument. People should just be able to speak their opinions, whatever they are. Okay. In the moment, I disagreed with that because I've seen too much of that shit. Like when my gender studies class was like 30 women and 2 guys, myself being one of them, and everybody's just being so frustratingly agreeable, and like. I'm being taught all these half-truths by the professor, and nobody's objecting to anything. They're just agreeing with everything, complying. Like, what the fuck? Like, somebody needs to speak up, right? And it tends to be the guys. Like, who are the only 2 people who disagree with anything in that class? It's literally me and the other guy in that class, okay? Having said that, I was reflecting, and it hit. Like, I'm really glad I had the realization. Like, I don't see the utility in disagreeing in groups anymore. Okay, and I've actually been living this. I've been living this lesson for quite a while now, because as my life gets better, I find myself more and more able to just sit there quietly and let people be. Like if they're being idiots, or like they're talking shit that I don't agree with, or whatever, they're complaining or whatever the fuck, I can just sit there and I don't need to pipe up anymore. I don't even feel a need. Legit, do not feel a need to get aroused myself over this stupid shit, right? So less and less, I don't tend to disagree like that anymore. I'm not as disagreeable as I used to be. Also, I've realized that because I had to, in my own mind, rationalize to myself why I shouldn't be complaining all the time, right? And it was, to me, I thought like, hey, you know what? If I was really serious about changing things, I would just go write a fucking letter or something. Or I have my own platforms to complain or talk about shit. Like, let's say this channel, I have this channel where I can talk about things, right? I don't need to go there in a group and hijack other people's space and time and energy and be a kind of emotional vampire complaining about shit. I ditched that a long time ago, and I'm proud of myself for doing so, okay? But there's still I guess a trace of that left, where I feel like I need to disagree with people at times if they say some shit that I don't agree with, okay? But I'm leaving that even now, because the realization hit home, and I'm glad that it did. And it hits home in a way that I know I'm gonna ditch that way of behaving, okay? And it's because what is the real value of that men's group? I've been thinking about this for a while. You know, it's the real value is that I can be around other men who are embodying something very positive, okay? And when you have men that come together and they embody something positive in their own lives, like the changes they've made, the way they talk, the way they live their lives, the way they carry themselves, etc. And when you see their success as a guy, and I use that word guy loosely because I know there's some gender issues and stuff that come up with that word, but I'm just using that to make a point right now for the lack of a better way to communicate. So when I see other men come together like that in their power and their success, it makes me want to ditch my bullshit and it raises my own standards for myself. That has been the true value, the true impact of that men's group on me, and I value that so much. Okay. Also, the fact that there are always men there that I can ask questions to, because life is fucking hard when you're trying to make it alone, and especially at a late age where you don't have people to ask questions to, right, to get help from. When I look at my current partner, my girlfriend, or I look at girls in general, they have very strong support groups. Like, they talk about everything, fucking everything, and they're always getting advice from each other. They're opening up to each other, getting all sorts of psychological resources, knowledge, everything from each other. As a guy, I haven't had that, except from this men's group, and it's so valuable. Anytime I have a question about like anything, literally, like finances, relationships, just handling bureaucracy, handling different things, they're always there to ask questions to gain wisdom from, right? So that's the real value, of the men's group. So this idea that I have to be disagreeable, that people need to be challenged in the group to gain benefit, I'm kind of not seeing the utility in that anymore. And it's interesting to say that, because I believed in that so strongly before, that the value of the group was that when men were saying something stupid, that they would be challenged. I don't think that's the real value, to be honest. It's like the real value is just in me being awesome, or just being that, embodying that. And to a large extent now, I am fucking awesome, because the stuff that I've beaten, what I've gotten myself to in life now, my own headspace, my own actions, the way I carry myself, like, I can honestly say that it's largely positive. Like, what have I not beaten? And like, I have a stable career now. I'm a good person now. I've ditched almost every vice that I have. And I can just be that, and it's interesting that now I'm exploring the other side of life. Like, whereas before it was about beating things, it was about ditching the anxiety, like beating the anxiety, beating the addiction, beating the criminality, beating all my vices. Like, it was like almost the last like few decades of my life were about beating the shit. And now it's very interesting that I'm on the flip side of that, where now it's about seeing how high I can go, seeing just how good I can get, right? And I feel like the real value that I give is about me just being that. It's not about what I have to say. Like, if people want my opinions on something, they can ask me, right? And people ask the opinions of people they respect and admire. And the cool thing is that when you're disempowered, you kind of resent, or at least I used to resent, when some people's opinions were taken with greater faith. Like, when some people's opinions were asked for more than mine, let's say. So like me, I could say something, and then somebody else could say something, and it's like what I was saying was better, or at least on par with what the other person was saying. Usually what I thought better, but the third person would take that second person's opinion over mine, and I used to get pissed off about that. But I think it's very right, because throughout our evolution, it's like, if we had to trust anything, trust any opinion, any kind of piece of knowledge or something, you would put stock in someone who had made it work, right? You put stock in ideas that work, and the biggest proxy for that is to see somebody who is successful. Like, if they are successful, then what they are saying must hold some water. And I used to resent that, but I don't anymore. I think it's very, very natural and very, even a good thing, right? Because everyone has a fucking opinion. And yeah, just so the real value is really just in just being awesome, like just being me. And I'm leaning into that more and more these days, man. I'm almost like I'm fully embodying that these days. I'm a good person. I hold a positive space, positive mindset, and that's the true value that I bring. I don't need to be disagreeing with people, because then what that disagreement does is that it burns my own resources for myself. Like now I damage relationships endlessly in every group that I go to because of being disagreeable, and then I lose out, right? People that I could have asked for help, people that I could have been friends with, people that I want to be friends with, those are the relationships that I end up damaging by being disagreeable. And for what, right? And then also, they don't feel that the space is safe for them anymore. They get pushed to the fringes of society, like the people who need the community the most. By disagreeing with them and not keeping the space safe for them, by being disagreeable, I push them out of the group, kind of inadvertent, like without meaning to, right? Because now they feel uncomfortable about coming to the group in the future. They feel uncomfortable about voicing their opinions, about expressing themselves, expressing their feelings, so on. So the impact is not positive when I'm disagreeable like that. So I'm really grateful for this wake-up call today at the men's group. It finally sunk in. And it kind of sucks that I did that damage all over again by being disagreeable today. It sucks that I did that, but I also have the maturity now to know that life is kind of full of ups and downs. Like, you fuck up at times and you do good at times. It's a part of your growth as a person, so I don't take it that hard. But I know fully that this lesson went home deep, and it's changed my behavior now. And I look forward to being that person who's better, right? So yeah, that's